I know I'm just a cleaner, sir, but those men you call your friends, they don't look at you like a friend. They look at you like a prize they're about to take." The words came quietly, almost trembling, from the young woman in the janitor's uniform. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but it pierced through the noise of the CEO's high-rise office like a siren. And that woman, her name was Rosa Jenkins. Poor. Black. Invisible to most. But the next day, the entire city would know her name. It all started on a rainy Monday in downtown Atlanta. Victor Carrington was the kind of man whose name made heads turn. At 39, he had built one of the most admired tech empires in the world, Carrington Dynamics. People called him a visionary. A genius. A golden boy of capitalism. But behind the glass walls of his billion-dollar skyscraper, Victor felt more alone than ever. He'd grown up in foster care, shuffled from home to home, never knowing stability. Success had come not just from talent, but from deep pain. From a boy who once stood in the rain, watching other kids get picked up by parents who loved them. Now he had everything, except peace. Every day, he sat in that corner office, surrounded by people who smiled too much, praised too easily, and never dared to speak the truth. His executive team was filled with men in tailored suits, cigars in their pockets and flattery on their tongues. Men like Blake, Carl, and Reed, his top 3 advisors, closest confidants. Or so he thought. And every day, Rosa, the janitor, would quietly enter his office at 7:45 p.m., long after most staff had left, to clean the room, empty the trash, and vacuum the carpet. She never looked him in the eyes. Never lingered. Never said more than, "Good evening, sir." Until that one night. Victor had stayed late reviewing company reports. The board was pressuring him to sell a large part of his shares to external investors, something he wasn't comfortable with. It wasn't just a business decision. It was personal. His company wasn't just a corporation. It was his identity, his redemption story. He looked up and noticed Rosa in the reflection of the glass, hesitating by the door. "You don't have to wait," he said, voice calm. I'm sorry, sir," she stammered. "I didn't want to interrupt." He turned around. For the first time, he really looked at her. Skin like rich mahogany, eyes full of stories, and posture that showed she knew how to shrink herself so the world wouldn't notice. "What is it?" he asked. And then came the words. "Sir. I know I'm just the cleaner. And maybe this isn't my place. But I hear things. I clean the conference rooms after meetings, I'm around when no one thinks I'm listening." He frowned slightly, curious. She swallowed, gathering courage. "Those men you trust, Blake, Carl, Reed, they're planning something. I heard them talking about pushing you out, selling the company from under you. They think you're getting soft. That your heart's in the way of profits. And that you won't see it coming." Victor stared at her in stunned silence. His mind wanted to laugh. But his gut, twisted. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. Rosa looked down, voice barely a whisper. "Because I know what it's like to have no one. And you don't deserve to be betrayed. Not after building something from nothing. Not when you gave me this job when no one else would." Victor sat frozen. A cleaner, a woman most of his staff never even looked at, just shattered his entire sense of safety. She wiped her eyes, turned to leave. "I'm sorry, sir. I shouldn't have said anything." "No, wait." His voice stopped her. The next morning, the boardroom was full. Blake, Carl, Reed, all dressed sharp, talking fast. The plan was to announce the sale. Victor's shares would be diluted. His control would be gone. But when Victor entered, he wasn't alone. Behind him, walked in a man in a dark suit, Detective Miguel Harris, White Collar Crime Division. Before we begin, Victor said calmly, I'd like to address something. He tapped the screen on the boardroom projector. Security camera footage. Audio recordings. Documents. Everything Rosa had warned him about was true. Emails confirming secret meetings. Phone calls. Backroom deals. Stunned silence. Carl went pale. Reed began to stammer. Blake stood up. You bugged us? No, Victor said, you forgot I own the servers. By noon, all three had been escorted out of the building by security. By sunset, the company released a public statement. And by nightfall, every news outlet in America was talking about the betrayal of the year, and the brave janitor who risked her job to speak up. Victor didn't go home that night. He stayed at the office, quiet, staring out at the city he'd helped shape. At 7:45 p.m., the door creaked open again. Rosa stepped in, holding her mop. He turned. You don't need to do that anymore. She looked puzzled. He stood, walked over, and handed her a sealed envelope. I spoke with HR. You're being promoted to office operations supervisor. Better pay. Health insurance. And full scholarship for the night business program you applied to last year. Her eyes welled up. But, why? She whispered. He smiled softly. Because you saw me. You risked everything to do what was right. That's the kind of courage this company needs. She broke down in tears. The following year, Rosa graduated with honors. She became Director of Community Initiatives at Carrington Dynamics, helping employ thousands of low-income workers. Victor, now wiser and more guarded, surrounded himself with truth-tellers instead of yes-men. The company soared to new heights, not just in profit, but in purpose. And on the wall of the 47th floor, beside the plaque of company founders, hung a framed quote. Sometimes, the quietest voice in the room is the only one worth hearing. Rosa Jenkins. Power doesn't always sit at the head of the table. Sometimes, it sweeps the floors and sees what the rich and powerful miss. Never underestimate someone because of their uniform. And never betray the hands that help you build your empire.